Alright. Hello, welcome back. I was going to move a few things in my base. If you can see kind of in the back behind my cube, I have like a matter condenser and like a circuit slicer and stuff like that. I didn't want to really keep it right next to my cube. I wanted to move it and make it kind of more like an assembly line, something a little bit nicer to look at. So I kind of figured that this would be a good time to be able to explain a couple things. One of which things is there's a difference in your cables for channels, right? So there's a few different ways to kind of look at this. Um, so you have your normal Fluix ME smart cable. Um, and then you have a Fluid ME dense smart cable. So the difference between the two is you see where it says 0 of 8 channels at the top of my tooltip there. Um, Basically that means that you can connect 8 devices to this cable before it can no longer send a signal. Um, Not every device gives a channel. So for example, if I were to come over here and look at like the crystal assembler, the crystal assembler itself does not use a channel. What uses the channel is the ME import bus onto the back of it, right? Because that's where the cable is connected, is onto the import bus. The import bus is onto the assembler. So thus the assembler itself does not use a channel. But when you look down here at the pattern provider, a pattern provider does use a channel. Um, the reason why the cable would connect to the crystal assembler is because it's just transferring power. That's all that does. So if you have an import bus on the back or whatever onto your crystal assembler, then the import bus is what tells the assembler or pulls items from the assembler. So the import bus is the thing that uses the channel, but the cable connecting to it is what gives it the power and the ability to move through your system. Okay? So when we're looking at the different cables, if you look at the dense cable, you will now see that it says 0 of 32 channels. So that means that you can connect 32 devices to a single cable, right? And put that onto one of these ME controllers. So for every face of the ME controller, you can have 32 channels, up to 32 channels if you're using a dense cable, right? So you could have it set like this and here. So right here, the reason why like the edges here aren't the greatest is because you can see that it connects right here to this face and this face right here. That means it's taking up 32 channels for both faces. That doesn't mean you get 64 channels because the cable can only transfer, 32. So putting it onto the edge there, you're losing it, but I mean when you have a cube like this, it doesn't really matter. But if you have a smaller configuration, that could be deal breaking. Um, so the next thing to point out is you have different colored. There is both the dense and the normal cables. You can have colored. The main reason why you want the colored cables is for when you're doing your cable management, you don't always want your cables to connect, because then you could mess up your cabling system, and then your channels get all wonky, and then it starts getting hard to like determine how much space you actually have on a controller. Ooh, excuse me. Um, Using different colored cables is an easy way. I actually have an application over here. I'm gonna move these cables, but this is an application that you could see that you could do. So the bottom blue cable actually goes underneath this block right here to hit another cable, or to hit another face to give me another 32 slots. And as you see, as this cable runs across, they do not connect. So if I wanted to have, for example, let's say that when I go to move my crafting setup here, right, my auto crafter, If I don't want those to connect to this, to the same interface as this, then I would use a different colored cable in order to do that. Another thing is you can see your Fluix ME cables will connect to a colored cable, whether it's dense or smart. They do connect to a colored cable. This can be seen in, like, we'll go like this, right? We can connect the two together. I'm sure there's many applications for it, but it's something to note because it's all cable management at the end of the day. Cable management and channel management. When you're working on different machines, or even the ideal of, like, if we were to go look, I'll show you an easy one. So if we were to go look over here, and if this cable were to be blue and this one were to be red, I could connect them with the Fluix ME cable, but the problem that you would have is this export bus pushes items from this system over here into the chest. But if I were to have this connected, then what would happen is this import bus, which will pull things from the chest, it wouldn't pull things from the chest and put it where you want it. It would actually pull things from the chest and then recircuit back into your system, if that makes sense. So that's part of what having different colors could actually kind of help you get away from. So then you might also be curious, like, okay, well, why do I ever need the smaller smart cables if it doesn't transfer as many channels? Well, I can actually show you a decent application in what I'm going to do with my setup here. So what I'm going to do is I actually want to move my machines from over there. I actually want to put them in here. And the way that I'm going to do this is, first things first, there's cable facade. If you don't know what this is, that's actually super easy in itself. If you make an anchor, you can make an anchor. You put 4 anchors. I can craft one. Well, I don't have a knife. I do, though. So I can actually show you. So you can take 4 anchors and then say, like, you want a stone facade, right? And then you could put a stone facade there, and then there you go. You get a facade. So what a facade does is, if we run over here, you see how it like connects. You have the little, like, anchor into the cable. All it does is make it to where you can hide your cables. That way you don't see it. That's all a facade's for. Now, when we're talking moving machines, it is obviously very important that you keep your pattern provider. You need things to stay the same. So let me show you. You're gonna get kind of a few guides, I guess, in this one. So I'm gonna show you how I like to set up my like my furnace and stuff. So for me, I like to have the furnace on the bottom, and I'll keep the pattern provider on top. I don't believe this matters when we're looking at like an iron furnace, because the iron furnace, you can change the different inputs. You can make different sides fuel inputs, and, like, you can mess with it a whole lot more. But for, like, electric furnaces and stuff, usually you can't do that. Usually each face will have a dedicated side for a different purpose, right? So the pattern provider is usually on the top, from what I've noticed. This is from an older version of All the Mods 10 too. Like, I'm currently playing the most updated, like, 5.1, but all of my knowledge comes from, like, probably, I don't know, 4 months ago or something. The game has updated a lot since then. So I always just keep it up top, because I feel like it's easier to keep things simple. So then what we do is, if you remember me talking about the export cable constantly pushing items into that chest over by my ring, right? If we take an export bus and we put it onto the back of a furnace, we can go into that export bus and filter. If we put a piece of coal in, then this export bus will be told if there's coal in the system and it's possible to push it into the furnace, then I want to put coal into said furnace. We can check to see if this works by putting down this smart cable. Then you will see that this smart cable will then put power to the export bus, and then now you can see that it is filling with coal. I'm going to take acceleration cards and put that in there, and now you can see, I guess the reality being for coal, I probably don't need a whole lot of acceleration cards in that, so it's actually something I could pull back on. But now, we need to look at, okay, I want to put an import bus onto the side of this too. Well, if we put an import bus onto the side of this, in order to make my cable look a little bit nicer, I'm actually just going to break this block. I could put 2 smart cables here, and now the import bus is functional. You don't have to filter an import bus. You can if you want. If there's if you have a reason that you come across while you're working with Applied Energistics 2 or any other mod, but primarily using, you know, the import buses, right? If there's something that goes through this chest, and say like you have more than one network or something working off of a furnace, then you can filter that, so that way when say only gold comes through, right, only gold ingots, this system will pull out, but maybe on the other side you could have a second system and maybe it's only glass will pull out or something, right? So what we can do then is this, always make sure, so the pattern provider needs power too. I'm forgetting a very valuable part. So all you do is just pop that in. So when we look at it, you can see right here that this cable is one of 8 channels because the pattern provider is using a channel, right? If you look down here, it's 2 of 8 channels. It's because this export bus is using a channel. So if you come over here and look at this import bus, this is only using 1 channel. But if I were to go, you can either, well, you could look like, it's hard for me to like point at that cable in the back, but you can see that it uses 3 channels. We can also confirm how many channels are being used by coming over here and looking at any of these, because it's all importing through the channel, right? So there's 3 channels because there's 2 buses and a pattern provider. So as we go through, I want to pull these up. You can see I have a bunch of patterns in that. This is why, so that's why I actually like to only move things one machine at a time. And then this is going to be where things are a little different, because I personally like, so I'll probably end up putting like another furnace right here with the same pattern, so that way, you know, it just moves quicker because I'm lazy, or I'm impatient, I guess would be the better. So what I'm actually going to do, because you know, I'll put another, you know, furnace and all that, I'll have that set up right here. I could actually just skip a step and we'll go here, because I don't need to put an import bus on this specific side with an iron furnace. Iron furnace is the name of the mod, but an obsidian furnace, right? It's part of the iron furnace mods. Since I can change the output, I can actually change the way that I put my my system down. So this one is a little different. I don't need to put an export bus onto the back of this. So this export bus does not put the items from the recipe into the into the furnace. All this is doing is just putting coal in here. The pattern provider is actually the thing that will put the materials into the furnace. And it works the same for a circuit slicer, or you know, an inscriber, a reaction chamber. It all, the pattern provider is the source. That's where everything comes from. So we can just put a cable, an import bus, and a cable, and then you'll see that it's using 2 channels. You do not need to use a dense cable to connect things. Actually, on the contrary, dense cables cannot connect to an import bus. This is why you need smart cables, the small smart cables. You can take a dense cable and connect it to the back of a pattern provider. That is fine. But it's not needed. It's a bit excessive. And a waste of materials. So, all I do at this point is just put my patterns into the pattern provider. I can put my acceleration cards onto my import bus. Actually, I don't want them in the import bus. I actually want to put those into the circuit slicer. So it is noted, acceleration cards will increase the amount of power that your machines use, thus increasing the amount of power sucked out of your controllers. There are ways to increase power output. I don't have any issues with power output. I pretty much, I mean, this is my system. I have 47 million FE, which is pretty much well, not even pretty much. It's all entirely been powered by these solar panels here. So that will be a different mod that I kind of explain at some point. But the higher the power output, you know. So again, the only time I have issues with power output actually is when I'm running my reaction chamber, because that thing sucks up power like no other. Now I'm also going to we're gonna put down an inscriber, and you'll see that this actually works the same way. I can put a pattern provider here. The cool thing is, with a pattern provider, I don't need to add another cable, because as you can see, it's online. It is also using a channel here. So that means one channel, 2, 3. They're connected. I don't need to put another cable here. When I put an inscriber on, you see now it says it's online. It is also transferring power. But when we go to use an import bus, you will see that the import bus is offline. It is because you need to have a cable connected in order to use the channel, thus giving it power. So you can use one less cable, and then just put your patterns in, and now your inscriber will work perfectly fine. Remembering, you always need to keep an eye on how many channels are going through. As I put more things on this channel, you'll see that there's these little blue lines. When you have 32 channels full, you will see that these blue lines will come across the entire cable. It's just a visual representation of how many channels are used. So I actually want to move my matter condenser last, but the matter condenser is super easy too. We will do this. Now I'm gonna move my crystal assembler. Again, you can pick up everything all at once, but for me, I like doing it one at a time because of the patterns. I get, you know, I don't want to have to go through the headache of, you know, what patterns went where or whatever. If I just know that what I picked up last is in my inventory, then I don't have to worry about it as much. But you'll see it continues to move. The power continues to transfer over from pattern provider to pattern provider. Then we'll go back here. So the crystal assembler, we're just going to put another import and a cable. And then we can put our patterns, and it's good. And we'll do the same for the reaction chamber. There are some other things about the reaction chamber that would be duly noted. I'm gonna move these in my system too. I want to move those as well. So I'll do that here in a moment, and I'll kind of explain like what this basic fluid tank is for. Because it actually is very helpful when we're looking at running a reaction chamber. And whilst I'm thinking of it, I actually want to make a second reaction chamber, and I'll explain why in a moment. For now, let's get this guy reset up. So the pattern provider still has power. We put the import bus on in our cable. Then we'll put these here. Okay, so the reason why I actually want a second reaction chamber is if you look, there's lava, right? So produces one singularity with 64 matter balls and 0.1 bucket of lava. It doesn't use a whole bucket of lava. It uses a tenth of a bucket of lava. And then this one does too. The reason why I don't want to keep the charged quartz is because you'll see, in order to make charged Certus quartz crystals, 64, I use 64 Certus quartz crystal and a bucket of water. The reason why this is a problem is I don't want to have to manually come over here and flush it all the time. I'm sure there's probably a cleaner way to, like, you could probably do it manually, but I don't care to do that. Plus, if I have two different things running at the same time, once I get, oh, I guess it's fair enough. Is my, it should be working. Why is it not? Do I not have, that's why. Did I put, am I an idiot? I am an idiot. That's why. Boom, boom. That's why I don't like using multiple. So my glass here, one glass with the sand and my skystone. The system already tried running it through the system and it got stuck. So if I rerun this, in theory it should work. See, now it's working. And it's not pulling things. Import bus. So this is kind of what I was talking about too. So when we're looking at the iron furnace, we have glass that is stuck in the output system. We look at the face of it, right? And we want to go to the right side. You can see that it says it's a fuel input / eject. What we want to do is we want to put it to output. Then that glass disappears. And our reaction chamber is now made. I want another pattern provider. And we'll just do the same song and dance. So now this reaction chamber is set up, and so is the other one. You can see that there's channels. You can actually see in these smart cables that they have the little lines too. You see how here you can see one blue line, and then a second, and then a third, and then a fourth, right? And then it all runs down into this. So then always remember that you need to pay attention to how many channels are going to the singular interface. It's very important, because if you're missing a channel, like you'll even see right here, they're actually not able to sufficiently output all of these channels, because right here, it's maxed out. An easy way to fix this, put another channel there. So now it has more options to run through. And then you'll see now it's online and it's working. And you'll also see that if we go over here, the channels itself went up. Each one of these, it is again noted that you can put acceleration cards in each of these import buses, and the faster that you create items, the faster these will pull out. You can also put acceleration cards in here. Again, it drastically increases the power output of the machine. So if your system cannot hold that power output, it will kill your system repeatedly until it's completed. So that's part of where things like Powah come from. We'll make sure to put our quartz here. So, now, I had went through and I had made a, excuse me. I made an infinity water cell. So that means that my system will always have water to put into this reaction chamber. That also means since I'm using one bucket per one bucket, right? So like what I mean by that is my to charge quartz, I put 64 in, it uses an entire bucket. This machine will pretty much always stay empty because it's not using portions of the water. But since this one is using portions of lava bucket, it will tend to stay into the system because it will use it up instead of flushing it. I don't have an infinite lava source, because this is expensive. That is very expensive. I don't have the ability to make it. So what we do, okay, is we have an import bus into a basic fluid tank. It will suck out any fluid that goes into this tank. You don't need a fluid bus. In 5.1, all the mods 10, 5.1, an import bus works fine. What you do need is you need a fluid storage cell, because you cannot put lava into an item storage cell. All right, it stores fluids. You also will need to tell it, when you produce a lava bucket, right, you need to tell an export bus to put in to the fluid tank. So this will automate making lava. This is a quantum crafter. This will take any of the materials. These are just patterns. So whatever pattern you put, so like you can see I have stone essence. Whenever there's stone essence that goes through my system, I actually don't think I have any. Right there, right? So stone essence gets put automatically into my system from my farm, and then this quantum crafter is told to keep none of the essence, none of the stone essence, and create cobblestone. So my system will automatically create cobblestone as my farm produces the stone. Now, I'm actually going to move this too. I don't want these here. I think these look like garbage. I'm going to actually end up moving... I'm moving everything. I'm even going to be moving these over here. So I'm going to actually move the quantum crafter first. So there is... I have how many channels taken up? 13 of 32. So the quantum crafter is a bit different in the fact that it doesn't need a pattern provider. It handles all of it in itself. That being said, it also takes up a channel. Hold on. So I don't actually have any more systems. So real quick, we're gonna put the matter condenser down. I'll put this guy and just put him here. And you'll see it's powered, but there's no way to pull items, so this is another thing that you're going to need an import. I used one. You're gonna need an import bus. Put it down. Boop. Now this is where things get a little, because you will need an export bus onto this as well. I'm trying to think of if I actually want to keep it here. I'm trying, because I mean cables. I like my cables being pretty. What one quote pretty? So hold on. I'm actually gonna move it over one. So I'm gonna put it here. We're gonna put an export bus here, and we're gonna put an import bus here. So just like with the coal, I want cobblestone specifically to always go into this system. So one problem that you'll have is if you have an export bus that goes into a matter condenser, that means that the system that you put your cobblestone into, so like I have it connected to my main system for now. I'm gonna change this eventually, but for now I won't be able to pull cobblestone out of my system because it's all going to be used into the matter condenser here. You can turn it off and you can just straight up destroy items if there's a bunch of items that you're like, fuck it, you know, I don't want or whatever. But if you're gonna do that, you might as well just make matter balls, because pretty much anything can be turned into a matter ball. And you'll see that there's like a storage looking item here. That is literally what it's for. It's a storage component. So I'm only using a 1K right now because all I'm trying to do is just make matter balls. So if I take this 1K storage system, you can see now it's going up. This is because all of the cobblestone that was in my system is going to dump into here, making a matter ball, and then pulling that matter ball out. That being said, remember I had 13 channels? Yeah, now it's 15. So now we're gonna hook up the Quantum Crafter. This is another very easy machine. It's offline. This thing requires a channel as well. So you're gonna have to put a cable onto it to get it to work. Because the machine itself is what runs all of the crafting. It pulls things from the system. So I'm going to keep. So when you go to the configuration, hold on. Just keep it a little bit better. So when you see through like configure pattern, you can tell it how many of the resources to keep. I don't want to keep any. These are master infused crystals, so they have unlimited uses. So this will never go away. So this doesn't matter for me. But these essences, sometimes I want to craft with essences, right? So I might keep 20 essences. So that means that I'll always have at least 20 in my system. And if it can craft, otherwise, if it can craft the next tier, then it will. And you can do that for all of these. So you'll always keep 20 of whatever resource it is. Or whatever number. If you decide that you want 2 million, like, that's fine, whatever. And yeah, at that point, this thing just works. You don't really need, as long as you have essences or whatever, this thing will just automatically keep it crafted. Okay. So now I want to show this guy. So I want to move this. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna move it over here. I kind of want to do this because I think this would be a little bit, in my opinion, I think it'd be a little bit better looking. I kind of like having the cables. So remember, the import bus will leave no filter. The export bus, you can actually go like this and go lava bucket and just drag a lava bucket onto it. Now, whenever there's a lava bucket in the system, it will automatically pull, or it will automatically push that lava bucket into this tank, and then it will automatically pull the lava out here, and it will keep that lava. Your system is pretty smart. If a recipe requires a lava bucket, your system will probably recognize that you need lava, and it will probably do this automatically. I have never paid attention to this machine. After I set this up and I made sure it worked, I've never paid attention to that at all. So I can kind of show you. So we have 1.5 lava buckets. If I were to create a lava bucket, it goes in, it pulls out, and now I'm getting lava into the system. It's actually that simple. Your system is smart enough to go, okay, this recipe needs lava. I don't have lava in my system. It will see, well, it should, because I told it, I gave it a pattern to create a lava bucket. There's a way for the system to realize, like, okay, there's lava. So it should just do it automatically. You shouldn't have to pay attention to this at all. If you want to, like, absolutely flood your system with lava, there are ways to create infinite lava sources. Like, if you use dripstone and the create mod, you can actually pull lava infinitely out of a lava farm and push it directly into this tank that would then move into your system. Which is obviously very helpful. For now, I actually want to keep this here. Because I'm not sure where I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna make a room for it. But the same thing that happens with all of these when it comes to importing, or when it comes to channels, you'll see at this point I have, look, that line right there is blue. I think that means that that channel is completely taken up. I have 18 channels. So I actually want to kind of change the way that my system is. So when I break these, the drive, your ME drives, I believe they take up a channel as well. Let me, I kind of want to go like this. I really don't want them connected. I just think it looks better. So let's see. There's an easy way to show. I need a couple more smart cables. I did not think I was gonna use. I don't have. So I can actually. This is a super easy thing to fix. So we'll put one there. That's dirt. You'll see it has two channels. It's actually powering both of these. So I actually don't even need this cable. We'll go like this. I like to organize my cables. So that's blink patterns. So I like to organize them. So I'll put my fluid cells in one, and then I'll put all of the rest in here. Do I have, that's all 1K. 1K, 1K. So 4K. 4K. There we go. That's what I was missing. Okay. So now all of my items are stored in here. They're not going to be in my face anymore. I can actually put that here. Now, if I come over here, you can put, if you want to put your crafting terminals, you can put these anywhere in on your system, so long as they're connected to your main system. It doesn't matter where. I personally just like using the wherever my cable, or my face is, wherever this is, I usually like to now this is something I don't know myself. Can I put these here? I cannot. So do you see how the like larger part of the squares is facing inward? That actually means that it's not connecting. So for now, I'm just gonna use this. So now my pattern access terminal, you see how the little square is now facing inward, and you can see the big square. That's how you know. My crafting terminal, my encoding terminal, and my pattern access. Now I have full access to everything that I still had, and it just looks a little bit cleaner. I'll change these cables eventually. I'm gonna put like glass and stuff in here. I'm gonna make this this cube look a little bit cooler. But now we have all of our stuff over here set up. Now I want to move. This is the part that gets a little sticky, I guess. Sticky, tricky, obnoxious, tedious. Probably tedious is the best word. I don't want these to stay here, because they're a big eyesore, and I made a big O system, or a big O base to be able to utilize the base. So what I'm going to do is I actually want to run, I'm probably going to use red cables. Maybe. Maybe I'll run them based off of this face under here, actually. Run them, and maybe I'm gonna skip the glowstone. You can make facades of glowstone, but I don't remember if they work the same or not. I'm just gonna go around them because I have the grass facade anyway. So, you're not gonna see the cable. And in distance from like one cable, all the way down there, like they don't lose power at all. It's not like redstone. Redstone loses power over a few blocks. This cable doesn't. It just pushes the energy through. So I think I actually want to put the systems, like I'm gonna run cables underneath here. And it's gonna connect all of these to that system. So what I'm actually gonna do real quick is I'm gonna want probably more cables. Let's see real quick. That's nice. Okay, I'm gonna run now. I want to run this dense cable on the floor. Oh, so I want to make sure before I system. Let me show you the cables actually run if I have too many cables, fine, because I will always use cables. So the way I'm gonna actually set these up into this base is I'm gonna put them directly into these four. So these cables are going to be connected to the bottom of the system. And as so long as the system itself, I'm gonna give like a little space. So like it's gonna be like one CPU here, space, one CPU here, space, auto crafting setup, space, auto crafting setup. So wait, does that I think that actually works. So 4 space 4 or 2, my bad. 2 space 2 space 2 space 2. I actually ended up with the perfect amount. The one thing I'm not 100% sure, we're gonna find out together. We'll just do it right now. So it doesn't. Oh. Yeah, that's one of the problems too. There's a lot of patterns. Since these are extended pattern providers, there's a lot of them. So we're gonna go like this, and then the nice thing is these pattern providers don't matter as much, like their locations. So you can just fill them in. Just fill them in. That's what I'm trying to say. I want all of this out of my inventory. We'll put more patterns here. The nice thing too is I don't have a million items. Okay, so once your patterns are fully extended, or like full, right here, I can't put anymore. If you were to take one of these patterns and put it in here, all that's gonna happen is it's gonna go back into your system. So you would just have to pull it out. It's not a big deal, but it can be obnoxious if you like it. So I'm actually going to go grab. First off, I grabbed up the rest of those. I'm gonna grab these because they don't take, they don't have pattern providers in them. So, this is how I like to do my crafting setup. The only problem that you may come into is if you like to manually put in your patterns, then you won't be able to access some of them. But that's why I absolutely love like this thing down here. You can access any of your pattern providers on any of your things. It tells you the machines, like a circuit slicer. You can see like, okay, if I have 2 of these, if you keep the patterns different, like it tells you what pattern is in everything. So you don't have to go manually put the patterns in. Which I obviously like very much. And then we'll do this. So then you'll see, like, I wouldn't be able to access the pattern provider on the other side of this. Unless I use that access terminal over there, which 99% of the time I'm using that terminal. Okay, so as you can see, if you look at the top here, you can check to see if this top back corner is on, then all of your channels are working. I believe that the molecular assemblers do not take a channel, but all pattern providers do. So there should be only 8 channels being used. Yes. So if there's the correct amount of channels and everything's working, then you're fine. You don't have to worry about it. It will work. So then I'm gonna do the same thing here. So now it should be 16 channels. Boom. If you want more pattern providers, if you want, you can take up a full 32 channels. But especially early game, you're not worried about, like, because I'm personally going to move on to a quantum computer. And that computer, will auto craft much faster than these things ever will. It's actually insane how efficient that thing is. So I'm not going to worry about filling up every channel piece. I'm just going to place it anyway. Okay. So now we're gonna set up the co-crafting unit. It's the crafting CPU. I'm going to do this. And then I guess it doesn't really matter. As long as they're connected together, it really doesn't look like it means anything. I kind of want to make it look a little different. Hold on. Actually, kind of... I thought that you had to... So, I always thought that you had to do it like in a cross, but it looks like you actually don't have to for these systems. Which is cool. I actually like that. Yeah. So then it just works. You know it works because it's online, and then it changed the the texture. There you go. That's the auto crafting setup. Yeah, at this point, I mean, you could actually set up an auto furnace like this, and specifically have it set to where like it just constantly. You can make an auto craft. You can have this, but like this, and have it as efficient as you want it. Really. I have kept this because I have used, weirdly enough, I've actually used it quite a bit. As you can see, I keep things in it. But you can 100% if you, because again, you can always filter items through export buses, and you can, so if you get raw materials or ores or whatever, and you have a specific method that you want, you can connect it to mechanism, you can connect it to fucking iron furnaces, you can connect it to storage, functional storage. You could do so much with AE2. It's insane. I want to, we'll see if we have enough. Okay, so eventually I'm going to, like, all of this is going to get changed. I'll probably make it, I might make it a different color. I might make it just oak compared to spruce, just to give it some contrast or something. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to keep it grass. You can put it inside. It's not so that all you see is grass. And I'm going to. So, I will also say, you can change the face. So, like, you see how, like, the anchor is going off to the side? So you can actually put that cable facade onto the side of it. That's in case, like, your cable maybe is, like, in the wall or something. So, yeah, see, I accidentally put it there. But I don't care that much, so I'm just gonna put it there. Because these are cheap. So, you can make all this stuff, and you don't have to keep any of it. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's, like, a way to make the cables invisible or not, but personally, I like seeing the cables like this. It makes me just feel like it's a little bit more... I mean, it's a tech mod, so I like the cables. I don't know. So, here we go. Now my base is not as cluttered as it was. It's a little bit more organized, which just helps my sanity, really. I can move around my base, and if I decide I want to, you know, decorate and do, you know, chairs and a bunch of other stuff, then I can do that. And I can also like I can't. So the reason why like I don't have a window here is because of that. Small things like that. So I actually originally wanted to put like windows here, because I like having big open. I like windows, but as I fill this room with more stuff and things start getting put in front of the window, these windows are gonna change. They're not gonna stay like that. These probably won't either. Um, I also want to show real quick. I actually do have an upstairs. And I'm gonna make a facade for this too. This is gonna be my quantum ring room. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here, but you can see, and then there's another one over there. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with all this space. That's part of the reason why I made it so big though, is because as I work through like Aura Tech, Mechanism, you know, other mods, I'm definitely gonna need the room. So I made it huge for that reason. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I really didn't go over was this energizing orb. And I'll go over that real quick because it's actually super easy. So it works just like everything else in AE2. Everything else in AE2. It's even using Powah. But just like everything else, Pattern Provider tells the system what materials to send into the orb. Okay? It is connected with the cable to the Pattern Provider. You then just slap an import bus onto the side or wherever onto the energizing orb, and that import bus will pull the item off of it. The way that you get the energizing orb to not, so like let's say that you need five of a single crafting recipe. If you use 5 of that item, it will put all 5, because the AE system loves crafting in bulk. It will put all of the I don't know what this thing is called, right here, Ender Core, right? It needs 1 of each of these. If I want to create 5 of these, it will put 5 of each item into that orb, and then it will not, it won't work correctly. So you need to tell the system to only put in 1. And the way you do that is simply come here. You'll see blocking mode. You just click it once. If you have it ignore the contents of the target inventory, it's just going to put all of them in there. This is the default state. So if you click it and put it in blocking mode, do not push crafting ingredients if inventory contains a pattern input. It will lock it at that at the pattern input. It will not continue to push more. So that's how you get it to lock. And then it's to actually utilize the orb itself. It's as easy as just power. It doesn't have to be an ender cell. It can be an energy what is it? Energy cell. You can use applied energistics. There's ways, but just you put power in here and then it just zaps it. Boom. Energy orb or energizing orb is super easy. So yeah, there is a way. I did it in my other world, and it was difficult to kind of work with, but there is a way that you can automate brewing stands with AE2. And when I refigure out how to do it, I'm going to make a guide on it. But as of right now, that's difficult. It's not. I don't remember. It wasn't. When I say difficult, I mean it was more confusing. It wasn't. It was hard. It wasn't necessarily hard, but it was confusing because, like, with the pattern providers, you know, you put 1 blaze powder in to keep it powered. Which we can use an export bus to help with that. But then you also have the ideal that, like, you know, you put in the 1 recipe when you're making the recipes for potions. It only counts the 1 potion. It doesn't count 3. So you know you're getting incorrect amounts. Just stuff like that. Pulling out the potions, filtering. It was a pain in the butt, but it is doable, and I will do it. But that's, you know, a video for another time. I think what I actually want to do is I'll probably just come over here. So yeah, the if there's any questions that you guys have, such as, how do I get X material to be able to craft X item, right? So for example, in order to craft, I think it's the crystal assembler, you need a singularity, I believe. I might be, no, Entro. You need Entro to craft that. I think it's actually the circuit slicer that you need. Maybe there's one of these. Can't, maybe the reaction chamber. One of these you needed a singularity for. I might not have it even here, but it just any right here, quantum crafter. You need singularities to craft that. If there anything that you need to know, so like singularities specifically, I've actually already covered in a previous video. With my quantum ring, when I was making the quantum ring setup. But if there are any other items that you guys are like, what? I don't know how to get it. Let me know. I'll make a guide. Like intro, you've seen I collected intro in the corner, only a couple minutes ago. Super easy stuff to do. It's just a matter of knowing how, but it's all super easy. It just might be a little confusing. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I do my best to see things. I don't always see comments or whatever right away. Like especially if I'm making a short, if it's been out for like a couple days or whatever, like I might not see your message right away or your comment, but I will respond when I see it. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I love teaching. That's why I went through and did this. So yeah, for now, that's it. Peace.